today's our project, I want to talk about colors and where we get colors that we put into things like crayons and colored pencils and so forth. And I want to do some color mixing. Now this is a color wheel and it's very standard. Artists all over the world use it, and it's laid out very much like a rainbow. If you start here, so you've got red, then you've got orange, and then yellow. That's Roy G. Biv. Red, orange, yellow, and then you've got green, blue, indigo would be right in here, and then finally you have violet, which is also purple. Purple and violet are the same color. And we'll get back to that in a minute, but first I want to show you my web page and some of the paintings that I've done, some recently and some a long time ago. The first one is this line that I want to show you anyway, and this line is from the National Zoo in Washington, D.C. I was making a trip to Fredericksburg to judge an art show, and I stopped off at the zoo and took some photographs, and this is the result of a pastel and color pencil combination drawing that I did from those photographs. This is Dr. King. He was president of Southwest Virginia Community College for about 40 years. I worked for him for 22 years at the college. I taught oil painting 1 and oil painting 2, and I also taught portrait painting. Next is Matthew at the beach. This is my grandson, and we were at my daughter's place at Emerald Isle, and we went out early one morning to find seashells, but there weren't any seashells to find, at least not on that stretch of beach, so I ended up with this photograph and I painted it in watercolor. This is Carlos Richardson. He's one of the managers at the Lowe's in Claypool Hill. Here are some details of this oil painting. You can see some of the texture of the oil standing up and some of the colors that I use, some of the earth tones that I use, which I'll talk about later. This is my mom. I painted that several years ago, and it was a bit of a challenge because of the hair and the flowers. And this is a tiger I painted from Mill Mountain Zoo in Roanoke. I took pictures in 1996, and you can see the detail here, some of the strokes I made with pastel pencil and pastel blocks. This is Mabry Mill. It's in Floyd County, Virginia, and it's a very famous place for the most part. And I used a lot of earth tones in the water wheel and in the reflections in the water, and people ask me how I paint those. Well, I paint them the same way as I paint everything else. I draw the shape and fill it in with the color that I mix for that shape. This is Mason. It's my brother-in-law's dog. It's a Saint Bernard, and it won Best of Show a few years ago. And now we're going to get started with our color wheel. For this project, you will need red, which is a primary color. That means it cannot be made from other colors. You have to find that color in nature and make a pigment out of it, or a dye in some cases. Another primary color is yellow and blue. If you have red, yellow, and blue, and they're pure colors, then you can make all the other colors in the world, every single one of them. As far as hue goes, now hue is just the color by name. You would also need white and black to get the full range of colors. But all the colors can be made from these three: red, yellow, and blue. So you'll need some type of red. Another substitute for red that would work really well is scarlet. Yellow and blue. True blue will work great, but cerulean blue is also very, very close to true blue. Now I'll give you just a minute to find those colors, and then we'll get started. While you're getting out your red, yellow, and blue, If you will go ahead and find violet purple, then you will be able to get one of the most difficult colors more easily, because the red and the blue that we use are not pure enough to give a bright purple. It will make purple, but it's a dark purple. And if you want a brighter color of purple or violet, then you just need to use that crayon. You're welcome to try to put the circles like this, smaller circles into a bigger circle, but that's going to take a good bit of time. So when I mix the colors for this project, I'm just going to mix them in different patches all over the paper. But the color wheel is what we use for reference, for understanding many things about color. For example, red and green are straight across the color wheel, and if you mix them together, you get a gray color. Same thing if you mix orange and blue, you will get a gray color. Yellow and purple will give you a gray color. We're going to start by putting down a patch of red. It doesn't really matter if it's round. Just go over here somewhere. I've got my paper in the landscape direction, and I'm just going to put a patch of red, and I'm going to color neatly. I'm not going to leave white streaks because that won't help anything. And I'm just going to put a patch of red like this. And I'm going to skip over just a little bit, and I'm going to put another patch of red. So I'm going to have two patches of red side by side, about the same size, but that's not important. The important thing is that you get two patches of red. Now on the second patch of red, and you can turn your paper so that you can cross over. We went one way with the red, we'll go the other way with the yellow, and you may have to press down a little bit, but press that yellow down and go over that red, and you'll see that the colors start to blend together, and the result will be a color that looks orange. It is orange. Now if you use the orange out of your crayon box, it might be a little brighter, because we're mixing these colors, and to get them fully mixed and blended, you may have to go over them more than one time. But that looks orange, and that's what we want. Beside the orange, we will put yellow. And since yellow is a primary color, which cannot be made from other colors, we're going to put two of them, because the next color on the color wheel is green, and it can be made from other colors. So we're going to take our yellow and just make a patch of yellow beside your first patch. And try to keep your colors neat. Don't leave white streaks. Alright, I'm going to take my blue. I'm going to leave this one alone. That's a primary color. Let me mark them. This red is a primary color. Yellow is a primary color. Orange is a secondary color. So I'll mark it with an S. And the one we're getting ready to make will be green, and it's a secondary color. And we make that green by putting our blue over it. Now green is one of the easier colors to make. You can get many shades of green just by how much blue and yellow, how much blue you put over your yellow. Once again, if you used your green crayon, it would look a little different, because see, these are mixed and you're still actually seeing bits and pieces of both colors. To get that smooth, to get the color to blend out more and more, you may have to go over it twice. And I understand this very well because when I paint or when I do any kind of art, I paint a lot with oils, I paint a lot with watercolor, colored pencils, and anyway, I was saying when I color with whatever medium I'm using, I usually do more than one layer, almost always. And so layering works very well to accomplish what I need in my pictures. Here's the blue, which is a primary color. Let me mark it. It cannot be made from other colors. And since it's a primary color, I will put it down twice. One for what it is, and the second one is for what we're going to make out of it when we mix the other color. Alright, now this is the color that gives a problem because your blue, the Crayola blue and the Crayola red are not pure pigments, and you will get a really dark purple. It almost looks brown, but let's just see what happens. We'll take our red, and if you don't have Crayolas, this will be true of almost any set of crayons you have. And if we mix the red over the blue, we do get purple, but it's a very dull, very dingy purple. So there's another way you can make a bright purple. See, that almost looks gray. Kind of looks like a brownish gray. And it won't help to go over it again and again and again because it really won't get any better. So when you're coloring, if color's not doing what you want it to do, just get another color. Alright, for the colors that make a prettier purple, let's go with violet red. Now you don't have to do this, I'm just going to show you. Violet red and indigo. Let me find, okay, indigo or blue violet. Now these two will make purple, and I'll just put this one right under it because see, that's already a little bit toward purple. Kind of looks pink to me. So there's one color, and here's the other color that we put over it, which this is blue violet, which is also very close to indigo. But blue violet will work, indigo will work, and you get a brighter purple when you mix those two. And here's what the purple would look like if you just used a crayon labeled purple or violet. I'll just put it below this. And see, now it's very close. The mixed color is very close. Okay, if you want to get your orange, if you want to get out orange and put that under the orange that you mix so you can compare the two, you can put some orange under here like this. And you can see this is a bit brighter because it has more yellow in it. Well, the pigments that they use for orange are just brighter than the pigments you use when you mix these two. And there are ways they modify pigments to make the colors different. And we didn't do anything to the yellow because it's a primary. We didn't do anything to the red. That's a primary. The blue is a primary, but we did mix greens. So let's get out one of our greens. See how close that came. Here's one green. There are different shades of green in most boxes of crayons. Alright, so this is what we got. These are primary colors that are marked with a P, secondary colors that are marked with an S, now don't get frustrated if yours didn't turn out exactly like this. Now what you can do in the rest of the area all over your paper is you can just take different colors and mix them together and see what you get. And I'm going to do a little bit of that, and you can do that with me, or you can just experiment and do your own thing. I'm going to mix some purple and yellow, or violet. I call it purple mostly. It is the same color as violet. So I'm going to put down some violet, and you can just experiment on your own. If you want to go somewhere on the paper and put red, yellow, and blue to see what you get, you'll get a color that's very much like this until you add the yellow, and then it will darken up a little bit more. It'll be a little bit more of a gray. But I'm going to mix purple, which is just the pre-mix, that is the crayon that's already made, and I'm going to mix that with yellow, and I'm going to see what I get. And you'll be surprised at some of the colors you get. Alright, now while I'm doing this, I'm going to talk to you about where some of these colors come from. Actually, I'm just going to stop and do that. Red. Most pigments are made from things like dirt or iron oxide, better known as rust. You can take rust and expose it to a certain amount of oxygen and heat it in a furnace and get all kinds of shades of reds and oranges and browns and different colors. And now back to dirt, there are a couple regions in Italy. One is called Umbria and another one is called Sienna. And hundreds of years ago they discovered that if they take the dirt, certain dirt that they find in Sienna, and grind it up, dry it out and grind it up, they can make a really pretty earth tone, and it's called raw sienna. And raw sienna is kind of a yellowish color. And then they discovered that if they heat that really, really hot, it'll change colors, and we call that burnt sienna. It's just a darker version, and again, it's in the yellow family. It's yellow, but it's not bright. It doesn't have high intensity. It's just a low intensity color. And from umber, they took the dirt, and it makes a brown, very deep, rich brown color. Raw umber is brown, and burnt umber is sort of orange. It has an orange tint to it. And those are earth tones that are very commonly used, especially in old paintings that are very famous. You'll see a lot of raw umber, raw sienna, and burnt sienna, because those colors were easy to make because the dirt was so available. It was plentiful. But we also make pigments out of things like ground up rocks or metal. We take metal, for example, white is made from a metal called titanium. It used to be made from lead, but then we discovered lead is harmful, and we banned the use of lead in paint. So we don't make white out of lead anymore, but titanium white is a very, very popular artist color. Black comes from charcoal. You can char wood, sometimes they char bones, and sometimes they char other things. Even the black that comes from a flame when it touches like a piece of glass makes carbon black, and they'll mix that with oil or some other emulsion, and that's how you get the really dark blacks. Right. I hope you enjoyed color mixing. Go ahead and experiment. Just mix colors together, any two. Just pick any two and see what you get. And here's you some music.